The Supremely Honorable Judge Derek Bogart presiding. All suspects are presumed guilty unless I can find some excuse to let them walk. Above all else, I am the law! Case file. Gentleman here. Ulmer Crate. Criminal record. Try not to hold that against him. Sean Hallen. No criminal record. Doesn't mean he's innocent here. So what's up with these two? The charges: threat and malicious wounding. Not just injuring someone, but doing it with intent, with desire to hurt. So these two had a violent altercation. I suspect they screwed up the wording here. Says Sean sustained a stab wound. I'm pretty sure they actually mean he inflicted the wound, as we'll find as we go through the rest of the text. So Ulmer claims that Sean stabbed him, is what I gather from the entirety of it. Let's move on to page 2. What is all this about? Debt dispute. Ulmer owing Sean money. Claims Sean has been threatening about repayment. Yeah, it can come to that. Page 3. Here we have competing claims about the details of the altercation. Which one was the aggressor? And finally, page 4. Sean admits he had become desperate for the money owed and demanded the repayment from Ulmer. Microphone in the middle here. The conversation there doesn't tell us anything we didn't already know. Just variation on what the case file said. In terms of the wording, it's the same. So let's go to the evidence file. As we can see, locked again. So I've already, just to save time, I went through the rigmarole of this, just so I'm not fumbling around. But basically there's 8, I don't even know what these things are, charges or something. And you basically have to, by trial and error, figure out what's the order in which to press them all. And everything's lit except for this one here. Everyone's got an I except this one's got an O. So this just happened to be the final one. So you just screw around for 2 minutes or 20 minutes or however long it takes you to get the combination right. Make notes. And eventually you'll get the combination. It's more annoying than challenging. Knife with fingerprint. and the fingerprint number matches Sean from the case file, indicating Sean actually carried it. You got the evidence. Also, phone conversation captured between these two gentlemen. So we'll find as we read through this that Sean absolutely is threatening the other man. There's a couple instances I'll point to. One is kind of an implied threat, and one's more of an outright, getting pretty obvious here. As we see here, Sean, shut up, you bastard. That in itself is just abusive, not threatening. But it says here, let's see if you can talk like that when you're face to face with me. So not only is he talking about when, as in we're going to have a confrontation, but let's see if you can talk like that. In other words, let's see if you have the guts to say whatever to me when I'm within punching distance of you, is basically what the subtext is there. So, not an overt threat, but if you're a guy and you've ever been in a conversation with another guy and you're not liking each other, that's kind of like saying let's fight. It's all but stating it in so many words. And the final page, this is the one that's more damning. If you don't pay by next week, you'll be a dead man. Can you get a more serious, obvious threat than that? So things aren't looking great for Sean right now. So that's the evidence. Let's refer to the law book and just see what somebody has earned themselves here. So we got sections 3 and 5. Verbal assault crimes. Definitely gotten into that. Threat. 2 years in jail. Or 4 for repeat offender. 4 years for threat. Man, that's serious. Number 5. Physical assault crimes. Malicious wounding. 8 years. Or 14 aggravated criminal record. Yeah, so that's pretty serious. Some hard time. Somebody. And I've decided who it is. So we can go to the judgment. So we'll begin with Ulmer. Ulmer Crate, who does have a criminal record. Not that that's why we adjudicate the way we do, just it's factor in the sentencing, if it happens. Mr. Crate, here's what I find. The only thing that might help Sean here is, given how threatening Sean seems to have been, I could see how Ulmer might be inclined to defend himself violently if need be, but you could argue Ulmer would be justified in that. And that even if Ulmer was the aggressor, the physical evidence does not demonstrate he ever handled the knife. Therefore, you're good, Ulmer. You've been in trouble. Looks like you're content to stay out of trouble. Keep it up. on the other hand. Mr. Hallen, actually, let's just keep him on the screen for a second. Only Sean's fingerprints were on the weapon. So that plus the clear threatening on record. Find I have no choice to find you guilty. Now, the saving grace for Sean is he's the guy who did not have the criminal record. So, in a way, he's getting off easy. It's not going to seem like it in a second here, because I believe it was 2 years for threatening, 8 years for malicious wounding, 10 years in jail. Yeah, that's no joke. A decade behind bars. Almost feel bad for the guy. I mean, if you've ever been owed money, especially if it's from a friend, I've been in that situation. It's not fun. Few things will harm a relationship more than thinking that you could trust somebody and have a certain faith that they're good for it, and then they don't seem to be planning to pay you back, and it's like you're going to cut me loose over this money, basically, or friendship. But the facts are the facts. As far as we can tell, he stabbed a guy after threatening to do something, so... Whew, boy, a decade. See you later. Much later. Bill passed. Bill passed. Factoring in mental conditions for sentencing from now on. Send them to therapy instead of punishment. So, for example, that phrase, not guilty by reason of insanity, that sort of thing. Yeah. Okay, of course, then, start with a person who looks like he might have a condition. Oh well. At least I'm not being called upon to determine whether this dude is deranged. It might be too easy to judge a book by its cover. So, who is he then? Case file. Owen Lackridge. No criminal record. No mental concern. As we see there, positive on the test. So if we check the law book, matter number 3, criminals with a negative mental health test must be sent to treatment without penalty. positive. So, despite appearances, get another good look at it. I guess this really isn't funny. But despite appearances, this particular guy gets no special treatment if guilty. And guilty of what? Possibly guilty of willful damage to public property. Beating up on public benches, eh? Seems pretty silly. Page 2. Owen observed in the act. Cops took him into custody. Page 3. Admits been doing this for years as a stress reaction. Didn't even realize it was a crime, an impulse he can't control. So, just in time for the mental health bill, have a guy who appears to have psych issues. Let's go to the evidence. If we can, it's locked. Okay, another one of those. Create a path. Oh, that was just too easy. Record time. Normally it's not quite that easy. Normally it takes a few seconds anyway. Righty. Photographs of bench damage he perpetrated. Carving implements he possessed. Seems pretty cut and dry. See what I did there? Sharp objects, cut. Okay. So, guilty. Merely a matter of what the law does to him. We'll go back to the law book for sentencing. Number 6. Public prosecution offenses. Willful damage to property. 12 months public service for first offender. But since I've been given cause to question whether his clean mental health check is accurate, let's hear what he has to say. So we go to the microphone. So I'm asking if he's looked into help for this impulse control issue. So he says he's looking into help. Do you think this behavior will continue? This destructive, harmful behavior? No. I don't know. Probably yes. Okay. Indeed. As that last answer suggests, he's not all there in the head. Fascinating case considering, based on what I've read, the guy sure seems insane. But I have not been granted power to declare someone mentally incompetent. I want to reconsult the law book just for clarification. All criminals, so once they're determined to be guilty, with a negative mental health test, are sent to treatment without penalty. So it doesn't say I get to make my own determination, right? So my instructions are merely to respect the existing test record prior to now, leading up to now. So let's go to judgment. Mr. Blackridge. Start here. You get to see what happens if this is the judgment. Though it seems the correct judgment would be sanity impaired, my role as judge is merely to determine guilt or innocence, or guilt or not guilty, based purely on the brute facts of what happened, irrespective of mental state. It's someone else's job to determine his mental state. And you know, let's be sure to factor in, people don't always tell the truth. Could very well be this guy heard the news about the mental state bill and is actually faking insanity to avoid proper punishment. And whose word should I be trusting here? Someone caught red-handed damaging public property? Or the psychology experts who tell me this guy knows what he's doing? I believe it was 12 months public service. $12 months. In the orange jacket. Seems like a punishment in and of itself to make people walk around in that jacket. Well, I mean, it could be this guy is just an a-hole who gets his kicks by screwing things up for the rest of society. Could be he has a deep contempt toward law and order, in which case he needs to be made an example of. Nice and low. No one needs to shoot me, right? Shouldn't come to that. At least not over some bench carving. Let's hope not. What do we have here? Two music companies dispute the similarity of audio tracks. Copyright infringement is the issue. There is digital evidence. Seeking compensation of, wow, $5 million. That's some serious money. Better be some serious guilt involved if you want a favorable ruling. Plaintiff claims not just similarity with the music, but full-on copying. Page 3. Defendant fires back. Similarities in music rather common these days. Kind of think they are correct on that. I mean, how many music tracks are truly original, begin to end? Okay, digital evidence, let's hear. This is the groovy tunes portion of the case. Sound records. All right, first track. Pretty rad, whatever it is. Just in case you're enjoying this as much as I do, we'll let it run for a second. Okay, that gives us a sense. So, quite the banger of a tune. How similar is track 2? Well, it's sure starting out a lot softer. It's more for easy listening, perhaps, when you're chilling. The first one seemed more like once you've rocked it out at the club, and you're just relaxing afterward. That's what this one is. Alright, so indeed similar but not identical. Nice colors too, look at that. Alright. So the microphone here, you can't even click it. It's not applicable, I suppose. It's just a matter of listening to the 2 tracks and deciding what you think about it. And I think I do have a decision. Let's go to judgment. To pay them or not. While I do find a certain similarity, sure, it was nothing too heinous in my estimation. Opinions may vary. I am just one man with impeccable discernment. But here's what's important. If I ordered $5 million to change hands every time 2 songs sounded similar, this court would get overrun with claims. Can't have it. And as a side, I mean, what would that do to the music industry? You'd be a little more cautious about making music if you felt like if you're just going to have to pay $5 million every time you make a song. Why bother getting into that industry? So, can't justify. Maybe if the dollar value was a little more reasonable, but that's a lot of money to pay for just to point out that there's 2 similar songs out there in the world. So we're not awarding the money. And my advice is, if you are so worried about originality, go back to the drawing board. Focus on yourself being the original. And you should have long-term success that way, regardless of copycats out there. $5 million. Shouldn't be that easy to obtain. Okay, so we got this at the end of the previous week too, didn't we? Alright. As a result of decisions made in these cases, they decided to raise my salary. So that seems like it's a regular thing as long as you're doing your job. Maybe I should get $5 million for my judging services. How about that? Write in the comments.